Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. Yeah, I'm wearing a jersey. I'm wearing a shirt. I'm wearing a long sleeve polo. And I've been told I look old trying to look young. Young trying to look old. Either way, it's not good. Also been told I look like Harry Hill. Which is not really what you want coming up to Christmas in a pandemic. You don't want to go into a pandemic knowing that you look like a childhood Harry Hill. That's not what you want. And I don't. You know, I like the top that I'm wearing. And also, we're doing this before I actually record the interview episode. And part of me's thinking, do I go and change? But then another part of me's like, no, stay true to who you are. Love is love. Legalise gay marriage. My guest this week is Paddy McDonnell. He's back once again for the Renegade Master. Last episode with Paddy broke the internet on a Northern Ireland scale. You know, he's back. I'm going to be asking him to tell me some stories, and then I'm just going to put my hands under my chin and just enjoy listening to Uncle Paddy and his mad stories. But before we go on, let me plug two things. Number one is Patreon. So what we do for a way to people to support this podcast and for us to do things like get this sweet background, buy some equipment for the studio and that sort of thing, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Tea With Me podcast. The link is in the description of this episode. We put out a bonus episode every week. So at the minute we do 2 episodes. In 2020 we did 2 episodes a week and one short bonus one. From just after Christmas, from January, what we're going to be doing is one public episode, one full-length one, and then on Patreon, you'll get the other episode every week. So it'll be about an hour long. And we're going to do mini-series on Patreon, and we're going to have exclusive gig news and all that kind of stuff. So you can pay whatever you want, a couple of quid, tenner, 20, 3, 6 Gs, whatever you want. And you really do support the podcast and allow us to just put cool stuff out there. So that's patreon.com/Tea With Me podcast. Also, my stand-up special from the Waterfront last year is on there as well in its entirety. Also, I got to plug our sponsor, which is supportlocalni.com. One of our very, very sound sponsors. Support Local NI, it's a free to use website and it lets you support local. You know, and I know it's a couple of days till Christmas. If you're still thinking of presents, ideas, that kind of thing, you go on there and it's essentially like an Amazon for local businesses. And this is a time when you really got to do your bit, if you can, to support local and the sort of independent businesses that are really finding it tough. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, you want to help local businesses, get some great gift ideas, supportlocalni.com. Of course, it's also in the description. It was started by Matt Stevenson from Hollywood, so you know it's going to be good when it's from a fellow Hollywoodonian. You know, they've been used by thousands of people in Northern Ireland to find the perfect Christmas present and support local businesses at this time. So it's supportlocalni.com. And yeah, Matt's doing some great work with that. It's a great idea, and we absolutely love to see it. Let's get into this episode. This is going to be our last episode before Christmas. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, you know, if it's not, it's COVID. You know what I mean? Like, it's the worst year of all time. So if I got that wrong, I'm so bloody sorry. But you know what I mean? There's worse things going on in the world than me saying something wrong. So this is my episode with Paddy McDonnell. It's the second time Paddy's been on. Absolutely buzzing to have him here. Loads of people have been checking Paddy out based on some sublime stories he told. If you hadn't already heard of Paddy before, and a lot of people have, you've been to see him live, check him out after this. Watch some of his stand-up. Go like his Facebook page. Do all that sort of thing. Love having him here. This is the Tea With Me episode. Also, by the way, happy Christmas. This is a Tea With Me episode with my friend, Paddy McDonnell. This is the second time you've been on a couple of weeks by huge demand.
Right.
Because I think we sort of broke the internet in a Northern Ireland way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not worldwide, but
well,
definitely. Well,
Australia people were watching it. And who else was watching it? Glaswegians, loads of Glaswegians.
Everybody I know said their WhatsApp group,
Yeah.
They said if they're in 5 WhatsApp groups, they said every WhatsApp group had one of those stories in it.
Yeah.
And one of those videos has like 250,000 views.
It's scary. But it was also mad because people were sending it to me and going, "Here, this is you." And I'm going, "Hello, I've done it." You know, people that maybe didn't know that I even done comedy, maybe haven't seen me in a couple of years, worked with me years ago, something like that. And they were like sending me messages going, "This is you." Like, shocked.
I mean, I saw, I think, when someone tagged you in it, and then the guy with the night vision goggles, the guy we were talking about in the video, who just brought 2 pairs of trunks and a pair of night vision goggles in your stag do, did he like give like the finger in the comments?
Just one finger.
What did he? Have you spoke to him outside of that?
No, he hasn't spoke to me. He's just stalked my house. He's sitting outside it every night now. Sort of just scoping the place out. He's followed me a few times to work, you know.
So many people have said to me, they'd be like, "Oh, I love that clip with the guy scoping the place out." Keep using that phrase, scope it, because that phrase, scoping the place out, what does it mean?
I have no idea. He said it, but he seemed to know what he was doing.
It was after that podcast I realised, I was like, look, I'd say there's about 1,000 more stories that you've told me that we could get into. There's stuff I want to ask you about. There's a video I want you to talk me through as well. But before we get through all that, let's talk a little bit about stand-up. So we did some socially distant stand-up in the Bay Tree Cafe, called it The Comedy Show, streamed that out, did it just in front of comedians. How'd you find that experience?
It was weird. It was the most nervous I've ever been, I think, doing comedy.
Was it? I found it better than I thought it was going to be, and I was able to get a bit of a buzz off it.
Yes, I enjoyed it. There was no doubt about it, but I was nervous because it's been so long. And then I think it's because it was in front of comedian friends, and you're going to yourself, am I even funny?
Plus, you can only see their eyes.
Yeah.
So, like, if you see the eyes narrowing a wee bit, you're going, he's always hated me.
Genuinely too, because I didn't read anything until I sort of got there and then thought about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was good. I'm glad I done it, and I wish I had it done the next week, but I couldn't make it. But
is it funny that, like, you know, we did put those podcast clips out, that podcast just absolutely flew, and like if it was normal times you could just go on, like, I feel like you could just go on an international tour, but you can't go do gigs now.
Can't do nothing, so it's sort of going to fizzle out in a couple of weeks.
The worst time to do it. Right, there's loads I want to ask you about, but then once we finished the podcast we were chatting on WhatsApp and you said, remind me to tell you the magic mushroom story. Now, you've never told me the magic mushroom story, so
you haven't heard it?
No, and that's why I'm buzzing about it, because you know, you might tell stories at stand-up and you meet new comedians and you tell them a story, so there's stories you've heard from me a load of times, or story I've heard from you a load of times. I don't know what the magic mushroom story is, but I'm certainly keen to find out.
Right, but the background of it is, no way you asked me before, is there anything that people's asked you not to do?
Yeah.
This is the one.
Oh, shit.
The it says, do not do this as stand-up. And I only ever told it once, which was Colin's storytelling night. And it was like, the place was in wrinkles. And I was like, I'm not meant to do this, but this isn't stand-up. And this is sort of the same. Do you know what I mean? So it makes it all good. But what happened was, we were in school, secondary school, mate of mine. We all decided to go and pick magic mushrooms and go on the beak from school. Do you know what the beak is?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the beak in house?
Yeah.
He's not called the Mitch or something.
No, we call it a sanctioned absence, signed off by the principal. So
I got a note from my mummy to go on the beak.
So you can go to a polo tournament.
But we knew that the magic mushrooms grew up in the golf course at a certain type of year. So
what were greenkeepers spraying on golf courses? Because everybody just went to a golf course to either play golf or get magic mushrooms.
I don't know. We used to give them a $5 to get on. And not play golf. That was the magic mushrooms. You used to say you can have a round of golf too if you want.
How is that not suspicious? You saw Dan around the golf course with no
curly specs in our uniforms, kickers and black trousers. But we all gathered up and we got bags and stuff, and away we went up to the golf course, and we got mountains, right? We got there before everybody else, we got loads, and says, look, my ma's house is the closest, nobody's going to be in, we'll head up there and we'll boil this up, do whatever we're doing. So we got out. His ma had 9 kids. and he had no dad, right? So the man just made stew and soups. That was it. But did this big massive pot, just one big massive pot. And he was like, well, just do it in one go. Just do it in the pot. And I was like, right. So we put everything in the pot, cooked it all up, got all the juices we want. And he says, now clean that out and make sure you clean it out. And I was like, right.
You're responsible drug taker.
I was fucking 12 or something, like 13. And me, I no sweat. I did the back of my like that in the grass, wiped the stuff out of it and set it back in the cupboard, right? So a week passed in school anyway, and hadn't been in from like the third day after we'd done this. And I was going, I wonder where he is, why is he not coming in? No mobiles or nothing, no Facebook, yeah. And he came in on the Monday morning and he just run at me and he was like, I need to speak to you right now. And I was like, what's the matter? And
Did you say you're 12?
We were 12 or 13, something like that. We were young, can't remember what age. But he came running at me and I was like, what's the matter, what's the matter? He says, I'm going to kill you. And I says, what? He says, you didn't wash out the pot. And I says, I did. And he went, no, you didn't, because I'll tell you why. He says, I came home from school the other night, my mum made stew. We all sit down and have our stew, he says, and then these standards come on, and that's when all shit broke loose. And I was like, why, what happened? And he says, well, first of all, the baby started fucking going ballistic. And then my mum was going, I can't take this, you're Stephen, stop getting in and out of the wall. And Stephen's going, I'm not going in and out of the wall, but I'll tell you what, the fucking lights are flickering, right? And then the whole house, and then he says, Phil Mitchell kept coming out through the TV at him and going, your family's wankers. Right? And at that stage he went, fuck, we were all fucking had fucking magic mushrooms, right? So it was all like fucking nuts. So his ma was phoning the bell tap. Everything's happening weird. So everybody came out. The ma had to go to bell tap with the baby. The doctor then says somebody spiked it. Next man social workers got involved. They came out to the house. And then they thought it was this strange dad had spiked them. So paranoia kicked in after about 2 days. And then they were all suspecting it just went ladders.
Because you didn't clean the pot?
Because I didn't clean the pot. So the whole family, all 9 of them, were sitting watching EastEnders absolutely off their head and acid magic mushrooms. And says it was nuts. So he was like, never ever do the story. Like, never ever tell the story of what happened there, because my ma, you know, he's never told her, so he didn't want it to get out.
She'll say this, like...
I don't know. Maybe she will. Maybe she's in a WhatsApp group for people, survivors of magic mushroom trauma or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, when you were... did you do drugs much when you were young?
Once I got slightly older, like when we got till... I remember we were about 15, 16, we started going to like the Ulster Halls, concerts and stuff like that, and that's when you sort of done it. And it was dead strange because everybody's go like, you remember about once from Shank? Oh no, because everybody does drugs, like we're all mates.
Yeah, like during the Troubles and all, like the one thing we have in common is...
That's rave music, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, pop it out the car.
As soon as No Limits ends, they just beat the fuck out of each other.
And I remember then, you know, that sort of scene, I would have done it, because I was quiet up until I was about 12, and then then it all changed. I wanted to be a priest until I was about 12, and then I don't know what happened.
I know most people would say, like, till I went to uni. I was kept well behaved off the drugs and drink till I was 12, 13. Then
I knew I was running about with the wrong people whenever we were in like a wee youth club, and they were getting us to fill out like application forms for shorts and FG Wilson's. And there was a spot on it. One of the fellas was with us says, he's actually dead now, God rest him, but he says to your man, what's this bit mean here? And your man was like, what's it saying? He says, if you've any added information or something about yourself and you would just like to add it on in case we might like it. And he was like, you know, like if you've done things in school, you know, like a Duke of Edinburgh award, or you've done this, you've done that. And he was like, I didn't do that. And he was like, well, just good qualities about yourself. And he was like, right, all right. And your man wrote something down and put the form down, and the guy in the place says to me, Paddy, look what he wrote. And I looked at it. It says, I wasn't too good at school, but I'm all right now. I sort of knew then that maybe have to change who I'm running the book with.
Oh man. One thing I wanted to ask you about is living in the States.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you live in the States for?
Well, from 2000, probably on and off for 3 years, 3.5 years.
And you weren't obviously you weren't gigging out there.
I wasn't legit. No. Is that what you?
Yeah.
No, I was over. Andrea sort of grew up there, you know, and her family were still there and stuff. So we were going back and forward to it. And when we were out there, obviously we were doing just
Doing a bit
work.
of
I
everything?
didn't do stand up or anything like that. I
Yeah,
went
yeah.
to see it, but I never done it when I was out there just working
Well, how come you never stayed there?
because it was illegal.
Well, fair.
After September 11th, it was just
Everything changed.
Oh,
Where
sort
in
of.
America do you live?
New Jersey.
And just did anything odds and ends?
Mostly carny stuff
Was that
like bushels and all. You know, like get 2 balls in a bucket, you win a big teddy bear and all that.
Is that the photo of you?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you ever bring out an album, that's a cover. Where you have, like, is it the Ireland top Aircom on it? Was that one? Which
Yeah.
is one of the best football tops ever. 2 hoop earrings.
Big
and the
gold
blonde
chain.
hair and stuff.
Yeah,
That is
very-
a cracking photo.
It's it was actually, we were in the States and there was a girl says, oh, my mom really wants to meet a real Irish person. Right, no way they get on. She wants to meet a real Irish person. Can I bring her down to meet you? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. You know,
How come they
whatever.
brought them to meet you?
What?
How come they brought them to meet you?
I don't know. She was just like, I want to meet a real Irish person. And she met me, you know, and I went, I bring her down. I know.
Genuinely, you know what I was going to do there? I was going to, as a joke, be like, why would they meet you though? You're from Northern Ireland. And then I realised the amount of people that like were sharing your videos and stuff. I was having a look at some of the profile pictures and then I decided to not go down that avenue with that.
You mean the North occupied securities? But yeah, so she brought her ma to meet me like 3 days later or something. I'm standing there and she's like, Mom, this is he's called Paddy, like Patrick, you know. And her mummy just looked at me and started crying, and I was going, fuck are you crying for? Like, what's your issue? And she's like, oh my god. Oh my god. I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, what are they going to think of us? And who here's just the Irish people? And I says, why? And she went, you've got all these like earrings and eyebrow done and stuff in Ireland. What are they going to think when you go back and they see what we've done to you? And I went, I got that done in Belfast. You fucking rocket. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah. And she seriously thought we lived in wee cottages and fucking milk cows and all. Do you know what I mean?
See, when you talk about like, you know, the mushroom things at like 12, 13 and that kind of thing, what's the wildest thing that you can tell on the podcast that you ever did while drunk?
While drunk?
Yeah, or under the influence of anything that you can tell me about.
Probably the wildest thing I ever done was we were at a party in Balmore in Newton Abbey, and there was a guy driving a red Belmont, and he says, I bet you for a lift home you wouldn't hold on to the boot of my car and go up the motorway. And I did it.
What do you mean hold on to the boot?
So he had like a boot on his Belmont that sat out the outside of the car. I put my hands in there, put my foot in his tow bar, and went up the motorway on the back of his car.
And then he had to give you a lift
It
home?
was actually, I done a podcast on Friday with ones in Glasgow, and one of them says to me, I heard this story, and I said, was it you? And I says, yeah. And that's how I remembered that I'd done it. And I was full, and I look back now and I go, I can't believe I have kids. And I'm still here. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and I didn't think anything of it like back then, but I look at it now, and if I seen somebody, my wee lad does something stupid in school, like talks back to the teacher, I go nuts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I done things like that, and you're going to yourself, seriously, like how did I even survive? How did
But
you
then
know?
does lockdown not make you like, I don't know, like I don't really drink, but then again on Saturday there I went out for a meal and had like 4 pints for the main course, and I was like, this is
Went nuts.
as mental as I have gone.
Oh,
do you know
during
what I mean?
lockdown?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, after lockdown, are people just gonna lose a run of themselves a bit?
Go nuts.
So do you think the first time you get back on it?
That may be it.
Yeah.
No, well, I had a few pints last night. Like, I didn't do anything too mad. Like,
Do people expect, like, so back in the day, would it be fair to say, like, you know, you're a bit of a wild man, you know, enjoyed nights out, that kind of, enjoyed trips away, that kind of thing. Is there an expectation now when you go out drinking or like meet up with mates from then?
I think it's sort of stopped. It doesn't, everybody's married and has kids and
Yeah.
or dead. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, it's not the same. Maybe up until about 2005, 2006, we were all still going away. But I remember the last trip we went away, we went out the first night and went completely mental. And the next day everybody woke up and sort of looking at each other, and people were going, do you want a drink? Oh, we'll go and get a drink. And then somebody says, I wouldn't mind a wee bit of lunch and a couple of bats and a cup of tea. And everybody went, yeah. And I went, this is the last time we'd be away as a boys' holiday, like, because it's just getting the stage now. We're not the way we were.
You don't drink at shows, do you?
Very, very rarely. At the start, all I did was drink. Then Andrew wouldn't drive me anymore.
You start thinking you're a lot better at stand-up than you are when you've had a couple of drinks,
yeah.
because you get that bravado and that confidence.
I think at the start, I was doing it drunk all the time and people were going to school, but I remember doing it one night sober, and I think it was the first time, and I think it may have been Graham Watson or George Quinn, I can't remember. One of the two of them says to me, you need to do that sober from now on.
Yeah.
It's a lot clearer, it's a lot more... Oof.
Have you done stand-up fully drunk before? Mm-hmm. I've only done it once. How'd it go for you?
Pissed myself.
With laughter or urine?
No, on stage, literally pissed myself.
Where was
and
it?
nobody knows, on the barge.
Belfast Barge?
In front of BBC executives. Radio 4 guy was in. The comedy unit done a thing. They got us all together and we wrote this show for the radio, and they were like, you're the man to introduce the night, do a bit of stand-up, bring the actors on, do the sketches, bump.
So like a big deal,
Like, sort of.
Yeah.
And they were like, bring a drink with you, you're allowed to bring a carry-on on the boat. So I brought like 12 Carlsberg and I was sitting at the front, and I'm just drinking and drinking and drinking, just watching it, enjoying it. And then I was like, I need to go to the toilet, and it was coming till the end of the night, and the guy that was running was like, Paddy, you can't go nowhere. I was glad you just sit down, you can't go. And he was like, no, I need to go to the toilet. He was like, no, you're going back on 2 seconds. And I'm back on stage, and it just went, and I just started laughing, and the crowd was just laughing, and I laughed the whole way through me patient. And then I stopped, and they were still laughing, and then I done a bit, and I went, you have no idea what I'm laughing at, and they all laughed, and then I walked off, and the only person that knew that night I'd done that was me and the sound guy, because he went, what's the big fucking puddle here? But I was wearing big boots, and they were filled. When I got home, they were filled, completely filled with piss, and nobody knew that night. And I went, if people don't know you're doing that on stage, like,
oh yeah,
what else has happened to people that they're not admitting? People, I'm glad people wouldn't admit that.
There's nothing I've heard
Have
like
you ever
that.
pissed yourself on stage?
Never pissed myself on stage. Remember last time you were on, we talked about Molly's Parlour, the gig in Lisburn.
Yeah.
I used to MC it, and there was a time where, because it's weird, like when you're on, if you haven't been drinking, when you're on stage, you never need to burp, you never need to sneeze, you don't need to piss. It's just a weird thing. Obviously, if you're drinking, it's different. But I was doing that Molly's Parlour gig and needed to piss, but I just started my MCing, so I just took the microphone with me. It's a really long lead, and like closed the door, locked it, but still had the mic. So I was just talking the whole way through it, and there was like posters of like last month's lineup, and I was like roasting people on that, and then just pissing away, and so that's close to. I've never pissed myself on stage.
So,
but like, yeah, I mean, I've nearly been sick on stage once. That was it, and I just wrapped it up quick and got off.
what, the sick?
What?
You wrapped the sick up?
Yeah, just very,
Did a wee
very
parcel.
politely did it. Yeah, but like, no, I've never had any complete horror. I don't think so. I think the worst one I've ever seen is Butler falling off stage in Uri. You seen that?
Yeah. It's class.
That is one of the.
I'm glad he didn't hurt himself, but he was like that close from going out that glass.
He said, or he could have broken his neck. He said he easily could have broken his neck.
Did you not do the one in Lurgan? I had the glass stuck on my back.
No.
Never hear about that.
No.
Sean Haggerty booked us for a gig in Lurgan, and Andrea took everybody to the zoo that day, and I came home from work, no key to get in the house, and I was like, what am I going to do? I phoned her and she went, I'm in the zoo, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I have to get ready and get up to Lurgan. And she's like, out the back ladder, tried to get in the bathroom window, and we had the dogs at the time. One of the dogs knocked the ladder when I was climbing in the window, and my back went through the double pane, right? So the first pane broke, but the second one didn't. But I was then jammed in between the pane of glass and the opening to get in. So the only way I could do was go left or right. So I went left or right, and the glass stuck into my back. So I went into the shower and washed myself, and I thought I got it all out. Didn't realise it was that bad. Went till the gig and arrived, and Sean says, well, what about you? And touched my back and looked at his hand, it was covered in blood, and he went, what happened to you? And I says, oh, I went through the window. And he went, you what? And I went, I went through the window. And he was like, and you're here? And I was like, I don't like letting people down for gigs, like, you know what I mean? And he was like, seriously still want to go on? I was like, yeah. And he was like, right. And I went on and done it, and he was like, no, seriously, you need to go, it's bad. And I was like, how bad is it? And the barman says, do you want me to pull this out? And he pulled a whack of glass, and it was probably like 4 or 5 inches wide and long. And he went, actually, that's made it worse. So they sort of bandaged my back up, and I went and got 14 stitches in my back.
If I sneeze twice in a row, I won't go on stage for a month.
Sean, I'm surprised Sean hadn't told you that one, because he told a couple of people that. Like.
Sean always tried to do a club somewhere in Lurgan, to the point where I remember doing the bowling lanes.
Right.
And going, this is probably where we knock it in the head.
Yeah.
Well, you've tried all the bars in Lurgan.
I think he done the one with Mickey, and the dissident Republicans came in and says they were going to shoot Mickey in the toilet.
Like going out like Elvis.
And I was like, really? Mickey's a bit of man, and he went, oh, I'm letting you know, your stuff was alright, but no, he's definitely getting shot. I was like, this place is nuts.
Have you ever been like threatened for stuff said at a show? Or
Castlewellan.
Like, what happened there?
The guy started slobbering in Castlewellan. It was the day of the cup final. And your guy, do you know Brenton Farley that does all the voices? Like does Brenton Rogers and Steve Gerrard?
Yeah. Darren Farley.
Darren Farley,
yeah.
aye. I know it's his cheaper brother, the guy.
His dad.
Shit
at impressions.
No, but he just has the same name. No, but he was on, and it was a cup final day, and genuinely, when he was on, there was a guy thought that he was actually Rafa Benitez. Like, genuinely, like, was telling people, shush, I'm asking here, seriously, and I asked, like, at half time in Istanbul, what did you say to the lads? Like, what did you say to them, Rafa? Come on, tell me. And I was going, this guy really thinks that's Rafa Benitez. Like, convinced of it.
Yeah.
So when I went on, obviously I said to him, you do know that's not Rafa Benitez?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you think I'm fucking stupid? And I went, yeah. And he fucking flipped his lid, like, and was going to wreck a place.
And anything said after, or it was fine?
No, he went home. He was told.
He went home via the Ulster Hospital.
No, I told him. No, I didn't. I just says, tell him if you think the microphone is the thing, I'm not, like, if you come up here, you will get planted, like. That's just it. But it was, he genuinely wanted to have a go, like, it was a full-scale bouncers and all were coming in and going, I was going, I can't do anything if he's going to come on stage, like, it's going to be a dig.
Because that's the thing, like Butler nearly falling off stage or having a fight. Once you do something outside of stand-up on stage, you can never go back to the mic and start having a laugh. Like,
no,
it'll take over the night.
No, it's done.
Speaking of, like, fights and threats and stuff like that, during lockdown, it took a lot at the start, I think, to really, like, lift my spirits. And it took a lot for people to laugh, you know? And I was just scrolling through Facebook one day and saw a video, because there was a lot of videos doing the rounds saying a fight, so because tensions were high, obviously, and I saw a video and it was like, oh, security guard fight at Spar on Springfield Road, and I was watching it, and there's a security guard there, high vis and a pair of sweatpants, and he was just like beating up a guy outside Spar. But also his sweatpants were like falling down a wee bit. Mm-hmm. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, I know that hole anywhere.
Oh, you recognised it?
I recognised the hole before the face. And I was like, no. And I sent the video to you and I said, is this? And you went, yeah. So you essentially were the unwitting start of lockdown a wee bit and got into a full-scale brawl outside of Spar on Springfield Road. When that happened,
mm-hmm.
When did you know that people had started to, like, talk about it, share the video, all that kind of thing?
Well, straight away, because literally 20 minutes after it happened, I had a message from somebody in America, like, saying, are you alright? And I was like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't get here, like, you know what I mean? And they were like, this is everywhere. I've just got sent this. And I was like, well, it's hit America already. But I think what happened was, it was mental 2 days. It wasn't even just... The night before, I was dropping my van off to a friend of mine. He wanted to land in the van. And he's living in Ballymurphy. And I says, right, I'll throw the van down here. And I left the house, went down, and pulled in Ballymurphy, get out of the van and get hit over the head with a baseball bat, right? So this is the part that people don't even know that happened, right? So I got hit with a baseball bat the night before. Mistaken identity. They were looking somebody in a van.
Just walked out of the van.
I opened the door of the van, got hit round the back of the head with a baseball bat, right? So my friend then came out of the house and there was a full-scale madness in Ballymurphy. Wasn't recorded. Nobody had anything. It would have helped my cause if they did, but it was one of them ones, nothing. It was like, nobody heard of it. But our night in the house was nuts, and Andrew was like, are you serious? The cops are here. They're taking photographs of your head. What happened? You have to tell me there's more to this. And I was like, no, honestly, this is what happened. You know what I mean? So the next day, going into Safeways, sees I was standing at the front door. I was talking to somebody in the Safeways, and somebody. This is like the next day. So Andrew's still not talking to me because of what happened.
Because you got hit over the head with a baseball.
Yeah, because it was like, "Are you go again?" Going, you're saying you're just landing somebody a van, and then there's this big dramatic story. Like it's always you. It's not like you go look at this, and I'm going, I literally don't. Like, and she was like, "There's more to this, you know."
Just hoping
Did
someone
you
twats
do
you with a
something to this
baseball
fella
bat?
years ago? Because we couldn't go out when we were younger. It was one of them ones when she used to say to me, "Yeah, my friends and all will want to go out for Valentine's night." And I was like, "Where are we going?" She was like, "Just on West Belfast," and I was like,
Yeah.
"It's not a good idea." Like,
Well, because you're going to run into someone.
somebody, you know, and the things you don't even know. We were out for Valentine's night with all her friends from work, and literally walked into this place. Had a meal, went into this one bar, stand at the bar. The girls went to the toilets, turned around. The fella turned around the bar, dropped his 2 pence, and threw his head into me. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, you fucking ruined my
stole-
family's shoes 15 years ago.
you stole a reflector off my bike in 1989, you know, or you stole 2 of my panini stickers, you know. It was something ridiculous, like it was. Even the bouncers went, "Mate, are you serious?" You know, and I went, "I haven't lifted my hand," and I'm just going, "I knew you were going to do it." I went, and the bouncer's going, "He literally didn't do anything. He didn't literally just went to the bar and your man just threw the head into him," and I'm just going, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "Seriously? And why is everybody lie for you? Everybody lies for you, you know." So this happened the night before, and I go to the Safeways the next day, and there was a wee kid screaming at the front door. That's all I remember. And I turned around to look, and her mum was like, "Oh my God." And I looked, next minute I seen the butcher coming down, West Guy, and he's throwing himself about. And I'm like, so I jumped in, and I was like, "Come on." And at the start he knew who I was.
Right.
Because he says, Paddy, they. And he's me, "Listen, just go home. Just go home and leave it." And then all of a sudden he turned around and he was like, "You stole my bike." "Where's my bike?" And I was going, "What are you talking about? You took my bike. My bike was here. And I had 20 quid. And I don't have 20 quid. Where's my 20 quid in my bike?" And I was like, "You're nuts." And then at that stage I knew he was off his head and something. Mm-hmm. And I went, "Listen, there's no dealing with this." And I just tried to get him away. But I remember it just got to the stage where he started to turn on me, and I looked and there was 10 people recording.
Yeah.
And
that's people's first, nowadays, that's people's first instinct.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, you know, literally, now I'm not even joking, I was going, she's going to see us.
Yeah.
I'm already in trouble from Ballymurphy last night. Like, this is going to be even worse. Do you know, how do you get out of this one? And he just got worse and worse. And I was like, what have I to do? So when I get into the whole tussle with him, and I remember I had him in the headlock and his eyes were rolling, and a wee woman was squealing, "You're killing him." And I went, this is being recorded.
Yeah, yeah.
So I let him go. And then he just kept going, and I was like, and then the phone just didn't stop, and I was just sitting in Safeways, so we had to put the shutter down until the cops came, and I was just sitting there going, this is, and my phone just went mental. Is this you? And then I went, I have to ring her, you know.
Can I ask one question about it?
Go ahead.
Were you not wearing boxers that day?
I think I was wearing a thong.
Because, yeah, you basically, like, you had to just keep going out and, like, you know, doing a move and putting them down. And then you'd, like, head back in, and he's like, "No, let's go again." And you were always, like, folding them up in a different way, and, like origami, like human origami, and just, like making them a swan and then leaving
I
them
was
across the
literally
steps.
just trying, because it was going, this fella's just in a bad way.
Yeah.
Well, he actually was stealing. He was out partying, and apparently his missus rang him, from what I've been told now, and says, "You haven't been home in 2 days, and I need to make spaghetti bolognese, and I have no money." And he went in and ordered a thing of mincemeat and put it down his trunks. And that's when they went, "You can't do that."
Right.
And then that all kicked off.
Yeah.
You see the manager in the Weetabix. So
I thought you were going to start plugging it, be like, which was on offer for £2.
funny enough, it was 30% extra free. But
But is that a thing where, like, something like that happens, and, like, you know, the West being a place where kind of everybody knows everybody, is that a place where, like, everyone is finding out who is that? Everybody wanting to know, like, what's the story here and that kind of thing, which probably, like, you could
well,
do
years
about.
ago, things like this happened. Like, I can only tell you that bit about the car. If that happened now, hanging from the boot,
Yeah.
I'd probably get a thing for motion spray and Fleetwood Mac or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
They'd be all over the
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you can only go on the stories of people. But now it's videoed, and most
Yeah.
of the time, You don't need it. You just watch it, and so you don't just hear the story. You see what happens. But it was like people knew who I was, and were just like, that's such and such. Yeah. I tried to play it down, genuinely did, because I felt sorry for the fella. I really did.
And there is something like, even as like your friend and like somebody watching that going, that must have been like a horrible situation. Like I even said, yeah, like I got the laptop out. I was like, maybe we'll watch it together. But like, as much as you can laugh about it, it probably isn't like a funny thing.
No, not for him.
Yeah, or you though.
To be honest, I was alright. Like, I put a post up at night. It's nothing that I haven't. I mean, I got my finger bit off in the door. I've been smashed with baseball bats. It's not.
Yeah, nightly. You know?
It's not. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and the funny thing about it was the cop that came out was the cop that had been out the night before, and he was sort of looking at me and he was going, "I think we need to get you a cape," you know. It's funny how you're always here, you know, to save the day. It's never your fault. But no, it's not nice. But I think it's one of them things I grew up in. It's not a big deal to be in scripts. It's not nice for my kids. I think I tried to keep it from the kids because I don't want my wee lad to think that that's okay, and I wouldn't want them to be in that situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's why I played it down a bit. I didn't really play on it because of that.
Yeah, because you could have done like a director's commentary on it and just plugged shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Had Keith Cruz setting me up.
Yeah, or we could... Let me ask you about, if you would tell the story, if you please, about... I was chatting to Kieran Bartlett after we did our podcast, and Kieran was like, that was a brilliant podcast, really enjoyed it. I thought you were going to ask him about the MOT centre.
Oh, do you not know about that either?
No. And he told me a little bit of it, but the way he told it surely can't have happened the way it did.
Right, okay. I sort of want to hear what he said.
He said you were doing a show, like a panto type thing, play.
Yeah.
And you arrived like a wee bit late and you were a bit stressed out. And then you went home straight after it. And then the next day like didn't show up, or... Essentially, he said... You got arrested for trying to steal your own car?
Yeah. What happened was we were doing the play and we were I had the MOT it. So I brought it over, and because we had to do the play, I phoned my mate and I says, can you go and MOT this? I've left it in the car park in the MOT centre. Put it through MOT. I'll pick it up tomorrow. And he was like, no problem. I says, now whatever you do, make sure you lock the car because I have all my tools in the boot of this, not the other. And he was like, right, okay. So go and do the play. Get a text message from a mate. I've done that for you. I says, brilliant. And he says, I'm going to be serious with you. I've left the keys in the ignition in the car. And I was like, are you joking? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, can you go over and get it? And he says, it's closed. And I says, well, it's only a wee rail and jump over it. And he was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, fuck. So phoned Andrew. I says, you may come down and get me once the play stopped here. We were all having a drink because it was the last night.
Right.
She came down and got me, run me over to the MOT centre. I jumped over the top, was over the car, and the next minute, like, easy 50 cops came from everywhere, pinned me down, arrested me, took me to Musgrave Street, and I'm trying to say to them, that's my car, and they were going, yeah, right. But what I didn't know was that the police actually have, like, a centre where they fix cars right next to that. So it's not just a case that I was bringing into an MOT centre. It was like, you were right beside a police maintenance area.
Yeah.
And they were like, what's this guy up to? And then I told them it was from West Belfast, and they were like, fucking damn. So I was took away and interrogated. And then I had to try and get the logbook of the car, had to get this. And then when I told them that I was just finished doing a play and all, and it was a comedian, I just was like, hold on a wee second.
I was doing a panto. Oh no, you
Kieran and all were trying to get me on the phone, couldn't get me on the phone, and the next day I had the phone up and apologised to them all.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
If the MOT centre was closed and you were hopping over a fence to get your car, how are you going to get it out?
I wasn't taking the car, I was locking it.
Right.
Taking the keys, because I wouldn't have been able to sleep knowing that my car was sitting there with keys in it and all the tools.
Did you genuinely get arrested for it?
Got arrested for it, but I never got charged with anything like. But
yeah. This wasn't the night after this bar thing. With us not knowing how long before we do shows and that kind of thing, you've booked a show. You're going to do a show. I think you, especially when we were talking about the Dagger thing last time, like the tattoo on your dick and that kind of thing, and you were like, oh, it was in the show at the time. People need to see that material now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because even I sometimes think, oh, I did this material 10 years ago, but it's a good bit, and really, would anyone come to the show now have seen it? Probably not. So, you're putting on some shows next year?
Yeah, well, the Dagger's only been done twice or 3 times, that show. I will do it again.
Do you take your dick out at the end of the show?
The last time, you give the audience the chance.
Meet and greet?
No, you turn around and you if you just want to just form a wee queue or just put on the big magnifying goggles there when you're coming in.
Quick handshake.
One at a time. No, you put it out to a vote. And they've never voted to see it.
Oh, really?
Never.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's
Surely if you go to an hour-long show about a guy talking about a tattoo on his dick, at the end of it, I want to see
you want to see
dick.
it. Yeah, to know that it's
Tattoo or
true.
not, I just want
But it's crazy. But what tends to happen is there's an awful lot of couples go to it. And I genuinely think the girls do want to see it and the boys want to see it, but they don't want to agree that they do want to see it together. And it just...
Can I say, that is... How long ago did you do that show?
Last October.
See, that's like... You know what I mean? People talk about, like, you know, the Me Too movement and that kind of thing. You were forward thinking before that, because you're saying, I'm going to get my dick out, you know, like a Louis C.K. kind of thing. But wait, voting whether you want to see it.
Yeah.
You're not just surprising them with it. You're saying, we're going to do a democracy vote
Yeah.
on whether I get my dick out,
So we'll
which
have
I
a
think is a
screen.
beautiful thing.
No, it is, because you can't just do it.
Yeah.
So we had a screen at the back and we had a picture of me with an actual animal cock with the dagger on it, and then we had one with the actual thing. And then it would get flashed up if people picked it. But
Oh, I thought you were live showing it.
No, I had to screen it on the big screen. Come on.
You're acting like that's less weird, but it's way weirder to be like, do you want to see my dick here as a PowerPoint presentation? With the car sound effect as it comes up.
We actually played Chelsea Dagger. That's the song that comes on. But no.
Did you commission a full shoot for this? Were you just... Who filmed this for you?
I can't even tell you.
Do I know them?
Yeah.
Did you do stand-up too?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a proper guy that was involved in comedy, but took pictures as well, like he did. But he has them now, and it's one of them things where
I know it.
you know. But he has the pictures now. Could you imagine it? Could you imagine if one day you did have money, like, and you get that wee text message going, "Here, Sunday World's offer me £3,000 fees. What do you want to do?"
Fair play to the Sunday World, though, if they would run it, be like page 1, just cock.
I tell you what's weird from the last podcast. You told me about Jamie Dornan saying he liked it and whatever from it.
Yeah.
Well, he followed me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And he liked one of my pictures. Mm-hmm. I've had 25 messages from girls wanting birthday messages from. Have you got that? Have you had that?
Well, people ask him if you.
Asking
ask
me
you
if
to ask
I
him.
will ask him.
Yeah. Get that kind of, yeah. And I say, PayPal me 15 quid. I'll give you his number, email address.
Well, I just sent him me doing it. Green screened onto the 50 Shades of Grey, the chamber.
My mate's a big fan of 50 Shades of Grey, and it's you. With the birthday message written on your cup.
Listen, I'm doing Shane's podcast from now on. You're not doing it. And see the 50 Shades. It's going to be a comedy. The next one, they've put you out. I'm going to do it.
50 Shades of Grey is the next one's just you with a dagger.
50 Shades of baseball bats and Ballymurphy. The uncut version. I'm going to take you into this bar here. Look.
Is it uncut?
What's that? Like, as in Jewish uncut?
Yeah. Are you cut or uncut?
I'm uncut. You've seen it?
Yeah, that's true.
Did you not pay that much attention to it?
I'm a bald guy, so I was just looking at your balls.
Are you cut?
No, I'm not cut.
Oh, yeah?
I thought I was going to be cut recently.
Oh, you were going to have to
Not
be cut?
in an attack or anything.
Were you pacing funny? Or...
Yeah, I was telling one-liners. No, just like, it just felt like there wasn't enough room. Mm-hmm. It felt like my coat was too small, if you know what I mean.
Right, okay.
And I could move my elbows, if you get me. Not that I have elbows on it, but I just thought maybe...
But it works.
Yeah.
Prove that now.
Yeah. I had to cut a hole in the base of it, so piss out of that now. I can't even... Oh, yeah. Hold on. Oh, yeah, so the last podcast did that. You're going to do a show, and that's a show... You've done material from it before? You were going to do it?
Maybe one bit. This show was meant to happen.
Yeah, yes.
But... did I talk about this last time? My wee lad, he supported Man City. I'm a big Celtic fan, as people know. And I says, tell him, if Celtic ever meet Man City, I'll take you to both matches. He was like, right, okay, dead on. So we got them in the Champions League. And the home match was on the night that I was meant to do this show in the Black Box
Yeah.
for Ballyglass. So I just phoned him up and I went, listen, you're going to lose half of my ticket sales here because nobody's going to go if that's on.
Yeah.
And they were like, but we've already printed the programme. And I was like,
Yeah.
not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
And we cancelled it. So I brought him to home and away of the M matches. So I was meant to do it the last time. He supports Celtic now, God help him. But yeah, so this show was meant to be out before and it never did. But it's all my stories from working.
Yeah.
So,
Which I think I remember when you had the idea for the show, there was a night in Lavery's where you just ran a couple of stories from it, tried a few stories, and it was great. Like really, really.
Well,
cool.
I think that works best for me. I think the stories is working
Yeah,
best.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's just going to have to be going out there and get them stories. So this could be stories mostly from construction, mostly from being a joiner, but there is stuff that's in there that from different things.
Because like building sites, I would imagine. I mean, like you look at my hands and face. Like if you were working on a site and I showed up to do labour for you, you'd send me home. Like,
I don't know. I would have you shoe.
yeah.
Oh,
Not in the site though.
no, not in the site.
I do like the tuck shop or something.
Yeah, we would send you for tea and all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you'd be the good wee lad.
Yeah,
We'd go,
and
"He's a
I'd
good
put
wee
on a
lad."
spread because someone you go, get us a few buns or whatever. I would put on a nice wee spread of different things for you. I'd find out, do you have any specific requirements? No one's ever been asked in the building site.
Have you any specific?
Do you have a gluten intolerance?
No.
Dairy intolerance?
Most of the
anything like
ones, I had an apprentice one time that thought that moon was actually made from cheese. Like, thought it was made from cheese and was like, no, it's made from cheese. And I was
that? Well,
like,
like he watched that Wallace and Gromit film and he's
who-
like, oh, that's factually...
who told you that? And he was like, my dad told me that. That's legit. Like, it's made from cheese. And I was like, right? Is it?
How long did you work in sites for?
Long time. From probably about 18 on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Working on sites, and then obviously after Finger I went on to the taxis, and then all the taxi stuff came from that, being a black taxi driver, and then back and forward on the sites. It's strange now because I've been sort of on sites now for a couple of years, and you do stand up, so people know you from,
Yeah.
and they're going, do you do Lavery's?
Yeah.
I was in Lavery's, mate. Do you do Lavery's, did you? And I was like, fuck's sake, ways up, mate. Would I be out here if I was doing Lavery's? Your man just looks like me. Is it you? That's you, isn't it? What do you call you? My name's Steve. Stevie? No, it's not. Your man. I know your man. I know your name. You're fucking Colin Gaddis. I'm not.
Speaking of Colin Geddes, last time you were on, you said you thought he'd stolen a pair of your glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as some sort of test, you left a pair of glasses here
Right.
to see whether I would return them or not.
No, you automatically sent the picture. Are you returning them? That's good.
I passed the
The
test.
fella that I
We'll do
stole
it
them off once I'm back.
You look like, put those back on. You look like a Flow Rider tribute act.
From Ballymurphy.
Joyrider.
Go get that my back. Joyride. Hanging on the back of your Belmont from Bunmore.
At the communion. What's the entertainment? Joyrider's coming in.
Joyrider's coming on, he's doing a wee bit.
I haven't enjoyed it.
His mate Kneecap.
We are real rappers.
MC Kneecap.
No, but Kneecap are real.
Yeah.
And
The Elgores like they do it in
Yeah.
Irish, yeah.
They're really good.
Do you understand it?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
You fluent?
Ask me anything. Ask me anything.
Anything?
You do speak Irish. You did a show in Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going. You did it, and then I'd already spoke to the fella, and I said, "Look, Paddy's done it. I'll do it another time."
Philip wouldn't even let me do it in Irish.
How come?
Because I didn't do their type of Irish.
Right.
They do long cash Irish. I do Donegal Irish.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm not fluent. I have a basic grasp. Like,
Very good.
yeah, say anything to me, and I'll.
I don't believe
Well, let's converse.
Dutch.
So,
You'll not get back on the BBC now.
no.
Agus an nach sin Todd and Charles. Oh, TG Carr enough.
Hey, I think I speak it as well as anybody on TV who speaks it.
Roddy Merchant, here.
Nobody can verify if
I
it's
know.
legit.
My Irish teacher said that to my man. He says he's going to get an A, and she went, why? And he says, because I'm not even going to argue with him. It sounds legit. It's like a new form. He's going to bring out a book.
All you need to do is put the odd like English word in or someone's name every 5 words, and you're sweet, like you're fluent.
I actually done it. Right, I done the Irish one. Did I tell you about this?
No.
We done it in the Opera House. It went well in front of the Irish people, and they cut their lawn and all the wee Irish centres, right?
Yeah.
So I came back from Edinburgh, and somebody had booked, like Alan, somebody from Cookstown had booked the Mill,
Yeah,
Theatre
yeah.
the Mill. And he says, listen, the headliner hasn't turned up or whatever, will you come down and do 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah, all right, went down, done it. And it went really well. And I was like, everybody loved you and all, blah, blah, blah. When's the next time you're on? I says, I'm on during Belly Laughs, but I was doing the Irish show during Belly Laughs and was doing my own show. So the Irish show was like a mixture of me plus like an Irish sketches and comedy. And I goes out on the stage and I starts doing it, and I had give earphones, but they only give earphones for the sketches. They weren't translating mine, obviously because it was my own form. And it went from English into Irish as the show progressed. So the people were like at the back and they were like, what's going on? And I was like, what's happening here? Next minute, your man Martin O'Muller was Lord Murnell. He was sitting in the seat and starting to shrug himself down and it. And I was going, what's the matter here? Hang on, mate. The fuck are you saying? And I was going, it's sort of, hold on, I can't really stop the show to do this. You know, it gradually gets into Irish. I mean, what the fuck? We don't want to listen to Irish. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, fucking came in a bus from New Mosley. What the fuck's this Irish shit? I was going, what do you mean? And they were like, we seen you at the theatre the Mill and you said you had a show during the Belly Laughs. Nobody's fucking told us it was this Irish bag. And I was like, and the Lord Mayor literally was crunching down on that, and there was like all the Irish ones were looking at them and they were looking at them, and the next minute there was this whole big, and I was like, listen, this is a show where I gradually start speaking Irish as I go through. It's a story about my kids, whatever. Here's me, they don't translate it in that because they don't know what I'm going to say. It's sort of, and they were like, but we don't understand. I says, listen, if you don't understand mine, just sit tight. It's only 20 minutes. I says, it'll be done over soon. I says, and then when the sketches come on, they're fully translated and you'll really enjoy it. But I forgot the first sketch. Tony Devlin, the actor, comes in with a big pipe in his shoulder and goes, here, I'm only after a rocket launcher and fucking peelers or something, right?
Yeah.
So he comes out in a Celtic tap and does that. Next man, they all go, well, fuck this. They all get up and they storm out. And then they were all demanding their money back in the Opera House. And I'm out the back going, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And the guy from the Telegraph came in and went, do you want me to put this review in? He says, because it's amazing. And I says, it's up to you. And he says, I think it's amazing, but I think you're going to get slaughtered by us. And then me, right? He says, I'll give it to you. And he gave me the review and it never got out. But literally, I couldn't get out of the Opera House that night for about 45 minutes because they were waiting on me.
They were probably thinking, like, how strong are these pints? At the start of the show, when you're speaking English, then, 3-4 pints in, you question what the percentage of the alcohol is. If you're like, is he now speaking a different language?
I was speaking Irish and all they heard was, join the Ra.
Yeah.
Sinn Féin, join the Ra, Sinn Féin. And they just went nuts. And it was mental. It was mental that they had seen me and then came, thought he's in the Opera House, came to the Opera House and then wanted to lynch me.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable. I mean, did you do more of that? Did you go around?
I've done bits and pieces. I've done it for the Irish speakers in East Belfast, but they didn't really.
The Irish speakers in East Belfast, or as he's also known, Sean.
The one guy. Yeah. Oh, I'd done it for the Evans, and they sort of were like, they didn't really understand it. I don't think they got.
It's because you weren't speaking Irish.
No, probably not. It was West Belfast. West Belfast, you mean?
Cheers for coming on. When is the show?
The show is
you got a date?
25th of June in the Limelight, and
Class.
It's out. Tickets out in the morning, 22nd.
Sweet.
And the link's on. The
Well, we'll this episode already been out, but we'll put the link. Put the link in the bio
for tickets.
And it's you telling stories.
It's just me telling stories called On the Tools, and it's just basically for me doing stories from built sites.
Can you confirm who your sport act is?
Aaron Butler.
Yeah, don't let that put you off. Don't let that put anybody off.
I think Aaron's great.
I know, so yeah, I'm only joking. I'm literally going to a wedding in Enniskillen tonight. To do stand-up, not as a plus one.
To get married?
No. No. Paddy, cheers, as always.
No problem, mate.
Appreciate it. Put the link up in the description. And yeah, have a good Christmas.
I'll try.
What are you getting?
What am I getting? Nothing. I don't. I don't ask for anything like.
Oh, that's made me really sad.
Nah, from
I know what you probably will get. At some point, a baseball bat to the head.
We've wrapped that up for you.
all you want this year is one of the foam ones to the head.
I was up walking on the mountain yesterday and there was a girl dressed as Santa just coming up the mountain and she shouted over, "Happy Christmas!" And I says, "Fuck off, Santa, you didn't give me that BMX in '89, I've never forgiven you."